Hi, my name is Wendy Scott. I live in Ceres, and I have been a member of the Baha'i Faith since 1964. I discovered it when I was going to college, and I was 17 at the time, so it's been a long time. The Baha'i Faith has a very interesting and detailed history that was written down, but I'll try to summarize it in a few minutes. We have two prophet founders of the faith. The first one, the prophet forerunner, was Sayyid Ali Muhammad. He was born in 1819. He declared his mission on May 23, 1844, at his home in Shiraz, Persia, and he took the title of the Bab, meaning the gate. The man who accepted him that night, he called the gate of the gate, and he went out and taught the faith to other people right from that time, that night. The Bab's main message was that he came to prepare the people for the coming of the Promised One, who he said would be much greater than himself. And he predicted his own martyrdom, which did happen on July 9th, 1850, where he was killed by a large firing squad for his religion. I'd like to read you a little passage of the Bab's writings just so you get a taste of how he wrote, and these, of course, are translations. He wrote in both Persian and Arabic. Take heed to carefully consider the words of every soul, then hold fast to the proofs which attest the truth. If ye fail to discover the truth in a person's words, make them not the object of contention, inasmuch as ye have been forbidden to enter into idle disputation and controversy. I really like that passage. The one he prophesied was named Mirza Hossein Ali. He was an early follower of the Bab and was looked to for leadership in the Babi community, especially after the Bab was martyred in 1850. And he was imprisoned, actually, and in an underground dungeon for his religion when he received his first revelation in 1852. And he didn't tell anybody that for 10 years, although many people guessed because he had a radiance about him. And he continued to spread the message of the Bab. In 1863, he declared he was the one that the Bab had foretold. He was in exile in Baghdad, Iraq, and almost all of the Bab's followers followed him when he made his announcement. For his religion, Baha'u'llah suffered imprisonment, torture, and exile for 40 years, and passed on in 1892 in exile in the Holy Land, now Israel. His shrine is just outside Akko. He never wavered, in spite of all this persecution, in his determination to deliver his message to the people of the world. Baha'u'llah's eldest son, Abdul Baha, was named in his writings as to head the faith after his father's passing, and he was the perfect example of how a Baha'i should live. He passed on in 1921. This is a picture, this is a painting actually, of him at a young age. And here he is. This is the way most people knew him by the end, because he lived to be 76. And he came to America in 1912, actually. That's a long story I won't go into right now, but it was very, very interesting. In his will, he named his grandson Shoghi Effendi to head the faith after his passing. The faith spread worldwide under his guidance, and he kept it from disintegrating, as many faiths do after the passing of their founders. And he passed on in 1957, the age of 60. The faith is now headed by the nine-member Universal House of Justice, which Baha'u'llah specified in his writings. And it is elected by the Baha'i world community and is located on Mount Carmel at the Baha'i World Center in Haifa, Israel. To summarize the tenets of Baha'u'llah's faith, he revealed there is only one creator, no matter what we call him or her, revealed through messengers down through human history, the founders of the world's religions. He said that the world's religions were basically one, like the chapters in a book, and that they were brought to mankind to raise us up both spiritually and socially. Baha'u'llah taught that mankind is one family and world unity is our main goal. His social teachings include a spiritual solution to the economic problem, that we need a universal auxiliary language, that we should have universal peace. He taught the equality of men and women, which was quite unique in religious contexts. He said we needed a world tribunal with a universal language and universal weights and measures and currency. He said science and religion should harmonize. Basic teachings of all, he said the basic teachings of all the religions agree. And he's talking about their spiritual teachings, like the Golden Rule, for instance, which is in every religion. He taught that we needed to eliminate all forms of prejudice, religious, racial, all kinds of prejudice, and that it was a moral imperative. So all Baha'is work on this very hard. He taught that we should independently investigate the truth for ourselves. So he specified that we would have no form of clergy in this faith. He said we all need universal education so that we can know the difference between truth and falsehood. And he also taught that we needed to eliminate the extremes of wealth and poverty. As far as our daily life is concerned, since there are no clergy, there are also few rituals in the faith, and they're mainly done voluntarily and in private. We believe we should pray daily and read the Baha'i writings every day. We can choose which writings to read. And I'd like to share one of Baha'u'llah's passages that he wrote just to give you a taste of his writings. O Son of Spirit, my first counsel is this: possess a pure, kindly, and radiant heart, that thine may be a sovereignty ancient, imperishable, and everlasting. And yes, Baha'u'llah taught that we have an immortal soul that lives on after we die. We gather as a community for various meetings and holy day observances. We are to live a life of service to humanity in whatever way we see fit. We are to consider our work as worship when it's done in the spirit of service. He forbade the drinking of alcohol, using mind-altering drugs, and gambling, all of which are addictive and bad for society in general. He also forbade gossip and backbiting, which is pretty amazing because it's a very hard thing not to do, but we all do try. Holy days are the dates of the births, declarations, and passing of the Bab and Baha'u'llah, as well as Abdul Baha, and also Baha'i New Year, which is March 21st. We support our governments, but avoid getting involved in partisan politics. We can vote as long as we don't have to join a political party. We are monogamous, and we bury our dead, and we see this life as a sort of a womb that prepares us for the next life. As far as women are concerned, they have held the highest offices in the Baha'i faith, and Baha'u'llah said the education of women and girls is imperative to advance society, as they are the first educators of the children. And if women were educated, our society would advance very quickly within a generation. And I would like to invite you to go to Baha'i.us if you want more information about the faith. And thank you for listening. Again, I'm Wendy Scott. I live in Ceres. I'm not a Baha'i leader, just a member. Thank you.